Hello and welcome to Masquerade Breach Season 2, Episode 5. I'm Blazewing.
I'm Catherine Cosplays or Krisha.
I'm Marley Wins. Marley.
And we are talking about Cirque du Freak, Vampire's Assistant today. But before we get into the meat of this episode, I have some unfiltered notes. They're only a page and a half this time around, unfortunately. But they are thus. By the way, this is your spoiler warning. If you have not seen this movie and you don't like spoilers, now is your time to move on and come back and watch this when you have seen it. If you don't mind spoilers, please stick around. This is going to be absolutely amazing, I think. I'm hoping this episode's going to be absolutely amazing. Krisha's comment to start off the movie. This is the movie to be watching while hungover. I think that was in reference to me at the time, but
Yes, it was.
holy shit, Green Goblin's in this! Ow. Fuck that nails on the chalkboard. Fuck! Fucking boomers. Well, teacher's ableist as fuck. Those horn trumpet things are completely unnecessary. I want to pet the puppy. Bet you that guy saves on luggage fees at the airport. This dude looks like Kingpin. Lends legitimacy to my Spider-Man theory. He got bit by the love bug. Aw, how cute. Go ahead, kid. Make a deal with the devil. You know you wanna. Damn, made a deal with the devil, went to the theater, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt. Consequences be real, ... There is definitely shit missing from this movie, story-wise. I got a little enraptured with the movie at certain points, so my notes aren't, all there. They're not as comprehensive as they have been in weeks past, but guys, let's talk about it. Vampire's Assistant, what are we thinking?
It was not a good movie. Okay, sorry. Again, unfiltered. It was not a good movie. It had so much fucking potential. So here's the thing. I don't know if everyone remembers, but basically in the early mid 2000s, movie producers were scrambling to find the next Harry Potter. Because Harry Potter was so fucking successful. So they were, Harry Potter, a movie about wizards, other than Lord of the Rings, wasn't a thing. So they were scrambling. They made I'm trying to think of others that came up.
They did Aragon around that time.
Aragon, the Golden Compass, that was another one.
Yeah.
The Golden Compass that they really tried. Spiderwick Chronicles, that was another one. Basically, a series of unfortunate events, that was another one. That was the one that was on the tip of my tongue. They were throwing anything at the wall to see that would stick. And this was one of them. And this movie had so much fucking potential. And you could really tell they made this with the intention of it becoming a huge series, because the cast was loaded, but it being bad writing or just not a good director, not a good screenplay. There were a couple actors that just they weren't good. They did not do as great of a job as they should have. I think the performance of the main boy was not the best. I feel like with a better director or more direction, he would have done great, because he did have his moments. The monkey girl, just no emotion, none at all. Just nothing. I feel like there was so much more that they could have done, so much more that they should have done, but I feel like based on their PG-13 like constrictions, because there's not really much you can do in terms of horror even with PG-13, and vampires are horror, and freak shows are typically more rated R than they are rated PG-13 just by the nature of them, which is fine. That's perfectly fine. I'm just trying to point that out. Yeah, this was very much like you could see the potential. They had the budget, they had the actors. Something went wrong.
Marley.
I 1,000% agree with all of that. And I just want to throw out that my favorite character was the spider. Because so many things were missing. So many things. Like, the way that they would start in a direction and then suddenly they turn left, but you don't know where the turn happened. Like, the story would be going on point and then suddenly we're over here and you're like, I don't know how we got the where what? Right? And then a lot of the explanations of things were either too brief or not there at all, and you're just like expected to understand. And like, I get where they were going. We've seen enough movies to like pick up the flow and be like, I get it, but also like, you could have done a lot more with that. Like, I feel like the things that they took out are things that should have stayed in. Like, there should have been more in it. And the things that they chose to keep were just the main plot points. And that made it really difficult to watch, but the spider made it a lot of fun. We love our spider.
I agree. There was you could see where the gaps were in their storytelling. Like, you're going through this movie and there's like entire chunks missing, and you're caught trying to catch up and figure out where this piece of lore came from, where that piece of lore came from. You know, did they overlook something maybe? Were you just not paying attention? It kept me off balance all movie. You know what I'd like to see with this? And I know we'll probably never get it, but I can dream. We have a friend that has said the books are so much better intrinsically. What I would like to see with this movie is a remake. But I have some stipulations to that. I have some conditions. One, if you can't fit it all into one movie, make a sequel. Like, make it a two-part. If you can't fit it all into one movie. For a movie like this, do not be afraid of going a little longer than average watch time. Sure, some people might get upset, but the hardcore fans, they'll sit and watch it. I would like to see the world building done a bit more. I would like to see all of the lore that's in the book brought into the movie and kept. On top of that, you need to raise the rating. This is not a PG story by any means. This is a horror story. You are absolutely right. Critter was right when she mentioned that. It needs to be at least R if you're going to go down that road and make a movie like that. I know you were gearing towards a younger audience and you wanted a more tame version, but by taming it down, you removed something from this movie, and it pisses me off greatly. I don't think I've been this frustrated with a movie in a good long while.
Make it a Netflix series.
I would be here for that. Cirque du Freak on Netflix or like on Prime or like any of the other streaming services that we've got. I am here for that. Put big budget money behind it and tell the chronicles.
I think though it gets difficult when you have a rated R film but the main characters are kids.
Then age them up.
Or maybe like they both like just turned 18 and they're like
Or-
still in high school, they're applying to colleges, whatever.
Or put them in college.
See, yeah, the college would make more sense to me.
Age them up. Put them in college. You've got something there. Go with it.
Yeah, you're still hitting a very large audience group with college, and they will be over 18, and you can hit on more of the horror aspects without it having to be, a minor issue.
See,
I see what you did there.
Myriad, it might be the reading level of the original, but if you're going to translate it to film, you have to raise the rating for a story like this. Like, the books are what get you into it, but if you're going to adapt it into, visual media, you have to take in, there are certain concessions that are going to have to be made. You can't just cut the story wherever because of time or because of, you're afraid people might take it the wrong way. Keep the story intact and just age it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar to other movies that we've watched where there wasn't enough world building. Like, we came in here and they're talking about two different types of vampires, but they don't actually really explain what each of them is, how they work. Like, you learn the differences as you go through, but there could have been a lot more explanation on what was happening with the two groups.
I mean, hell, just that alone could have given us so many other spin-off stories that they could have tapped into. They could have made this an entire, saga.
And when they're explaining, who the bad guys are and who is opposed to who, well, what is the story behind all these people fighting in the first place? That is what I wanted to understand more, is what happened that is causing all of this. I get your base explanation, but why specifically do the two main, big, strong, vampy characters, what is their story? What is their reasoning? That was stuff I was hoping to really dig into and get an understanding of, but instead it's all about we have this prophecy. Well, can you explain it better? Because I was very confused for most of the movie about what exactly I was supposed to be looking for in each of the boys.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
They explained everything too late.
Agreed.
Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Let's just make it easier in that way. They explained nothing in Act 1. It was just, oh fuck, they're vampires. Shit. And then Act 2, they're just shooting off vocab words. And then in Act 3, when all the drama is happening, is when they're like, oh yeah, so this is this is this, there's this fucking prophecy, blah 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 blah. And I guess they thought they were gonna have more movies to really explain things and flesh things out.
This one
but
felt...
you can't rely, unless, okay, this is a big pet peeve of mine when movie studios do this. The first film, you have to include everything because there's no guarantee of a second film.
Correct.
Pretty much when you have a second film, you're guaranteed a third film. Maybe a fourth if you're lucky. But first film has to be its own little package. And leaving stuff on a cliffhanger, that just annoys people.
Yeah.
Leave that for the second film.
So, the way I look at it, that, your first movie, sure, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have, the issue that the main character is dealing with and all of their support characters are dealing with, and this issue has to be dealt with. But the thing is, if you want to go for more movies to explain your lore, you also have to work in the world building and the setup for your first movie. In this case, you've got Act 1, 2, and 3 throughout the movie itself dealing with kind of the problem in the moment. That movie that you're making is act one of a much larger and overarching story. That is where all of your world building, all of your setup comes in. And if you forget that, it's going to fall flat on its face.
Also, the vampire guy, what's his name? With the spider? Do we remember what his name is?
Nope.
I don't even remember what his name is. It's the guy who's in the movies with
Will Ferrell, he's in like
Will
Step
Ferrell.
Brothers, right?
I just know him from Step Brothers.
Oh.
Straight up. There was no conflict in that man. And this is something that made me really upset because at the end, his like girlfriend, the bearded lady, made a big deal of like, you went to go save the boy, like all of that. Like there was no conflict. He was just like, ugh. Save this idiot. Like, and that is all well and like you can have that, but that like there was nothing. There was no internal conflict. There was no nothing. Just straight up, he looked annoyed to be there the whole time, which is you can have a grumpy gray character.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. That is all well and good. You can have a grumpy gray character, but in that moment, like because his big thing was like, I don't touch anything. I don't get into conflict. We don't get into conflict.
This, I'm just going to circle back around. This movie was missing so much. They should have done a lot more with it. They should have aged it up. They should have raised the rating. They should have kept a lot of the stuff that they cut for storytelling purposes. Like,
this would have been... Go ahead.
Krisha was absolutely right in... It had so much potential. I wanted to like this movie so bad. But I couldn't. Ocean.
There's a couple things with this movie. One, it should have been a series.
Yep.
Two, I understand that the budget was bad. The cast was good, but, and I put a massive but, the writing was shit. And I'll explain why. One, they did not give enough time. It seemed forced. On the other hand, is it a vampire movie? Yeah, it kind of is. But there is so much. Everything escalates too quickly, and it's confusing in a lot of ways. The cutting block, as Blaze had said, absolutely. They shot themselves in the foot with this movie. Mm-hmm. They really shot themselves in the foot with this movie because this movie had the potential of being a classic, a great. It had all the elements there that were underutilized.
Yep. Marley, anything to add?
Honestly, we've pretty much said it all. It's, yeah, there was a lot that could have been done to make it a lot better.
Yep.
And as much as we would like to see it, I think reading the books is going to be the best we got.
Well, speaking of that, this actually brings up something that I've been thinking about while we've been sitting here talking for the last little bit. I right now am in a place in my life where I went back to school for a semester to upgrade my math and my science, and because of that, my entire schedule has been basically upended. My morning streams no longer happen. I'm having to rework my entire schedule for this upgrading that I want. So, I go to school pretty much 9 a.m. now. Class starts at 11. That gives me 2 hours in the morning. I've started hitting up the gym while I'm there in the morning in order to get some like actual exercise. I'm looking for copies of the audiobook. I want to see what they did with the book. This movie was done so terribly, they've actually made me want to go see what I missed. So that might actually be a positive. It'd take me a while. Sorry, go ahead.
I've also added it to my TBR.
Yeah.
I very much want to read this book.
It's something that I want to see what I missed. I want to see the lore. I want to get to know things, and I want to know just how badly they screwed this up. But it's more than that. This is an entire saga. This is an entire series. There's like 12 books, 12, 13 books, something like that in the series, focusing on different aspects and varieties. And that, for me, based on horror, I'm sold. Like, if they wrote it decently, I'm sold. I'm absolutely sold.
Yeah, one of the things that when watching this, I was talking with one of our friends, Critter Shy is her name. If you don't have her on TikTok, follow her. She's awesome. She's great content and game creator, or not game creator, but game player, influencer. Anyways, she had told me there are 12 books in this series.
Yep.
She said there is a lot, and it focuses more on the horror aspect than it does about the comedy aspect. Yes, there is comedy elements of comedy in it in the book series, but it relies heavily on the nuance and the feelings. And I think it's a classic horror novel, or horror series, which I think, yeah, this movie that just indicates to me, for what our friend said, and as a reliable source that she is, um, it shows to me that what the movie missed its mark entirely, and the books are good, because this is a book that I feel that anyone who is a reader, absolutely go out read, especially if you like the horror genre. Vampires, obviously, this is a good book to get into.
So I want to shift tracks here for a moment. Guys, what was your worst hated scene? What was the scene that you hated the most in this movie? Out of everything that you've torn apart, what is that one scene you just can't get over? Damn, this wasn't supposed to be a stumper.
Being
You know,
related to the parents. They were the worst
yeah,
parents ever.
obliviousness. Yeah, I agree with that. But I think one of mine is gonna have to be the fight scene at the end. It didn't it didn't have that gravity that it could have. It like for I'll explain. Their whole point is to try to convert the main protagonist to join the other side, the Vampanese, if we were going to get into it. It doesn't explain why they're fighting. It doesn't explain fully what the Vampanese are all about. It explains that, yeah, they want to be more out in the open, but it doesn't explain how they want to be out in the open. It doesn't explain if they want to take over and rule and conquer, or if they're just like, we just want to be our normal selves, we just want to, it doesn't explain that in the movies. What it does do is it confuses the audience, and it confuses, obviously, the main protagonist as to, why should I care about either of these families? And it really just kind of goes to show that the fight scenes, just how quickly one of them turns evil and the other doesn't, and like the best friend, and they're fighting, and it doesn't give that. It over explains it verbally, but it doesn't explain it enough of the relationship between the best friend and the main protagonist. It does to some extent, but the whole fight scene didn't make sense to me.
I'm gonna have to go with when he approaches the vampire about, like, please heal my friend, like, give my friend the antidote. There is no emotion in that scene whatsoever. And that is the pinnacle moment. That is, I'm making a deal with the devil.
Yep.
There was nothing. It more felt like I'm nervous I'm going to get in trouble. That was the only emotion I got from him. And there are so many emotions in that scene. There's fear for your friend. There's fear about meeting a vampire. There's fear he'll say no. What will I do? And then like this is I hate sounding mean, but kiddo, this is acting 101.
Yeah.
Pick any emotion. Just fear? You look nervous, you're gonna get in trouble and get your like Xbox taken away for a week. Like why, like come on. And then also the vampire character, like he just looked upset to be there. He was just like, ugh, kids. Kids these days. Like there was nothing. Literally nothing. And here's the thing, that scene, those emotions are so easy to overact. And I've seen them overact 100 million times. It being not. Now that I've never seen before. So that was shocking. Also, the person who just commented on Twitch, I explained that earlier. Yeah, I was Ocean, I was explaining this earlier, like these studios were really trying to find the next Harry Potter.
They really were.
And this one, unfortunately, like I don't think you can tell when movie makers care about the content they're making, and you can tell when they don't. And this is a prime example of they didn't care.
And one of the things about this movie that really kind of gives it a negative is that you can't really pinpoint, because there's too many points that are just that will like it hits but wrong. Like for example, the whole idea of them getting brought into, the Cirque du Freak in the first place. Like, ooh, this is cool. But won't I get in trouble with my mom? I'm grounded. Don't be a wimp. Let's go. Okay.
You wanna know what gets me? The flyers are being thrown out the window of the car. The kid picks one up. The teacher finds it in class, and his immediate response, without any fucking reference to why, is, these are banned. These are illegal. You're not allowed to do this.
Yeah.
We have no context whatsoever for why. What happened?
And I mean, they do sort of try to explain it later with the whole, you are exploiting these people with disabilities. And then he's like, oh, are you going to let me live in your house? And, freak. Okay, Ableist, shut up.
Okay, so let's switch tracks again. Because now I'm going to throw you the complete opposite direction. This movie was trash. We all openly admit this. This movie had a lot of shit wrong with it. What I want to know is what stuck out to you as the scene you did like. What was that scene that kind of grabbed you and was like, this could have been good, or this was good despite the rest of the movie?
Anything with Josh Hutcherson in it.
I
was the only one who was doing shit.
I have any scene that had Octa in it, and I can't think the animated spider was the best actor in the movie.
Yeah, we know you got a thing for the spider, Marley.
But also when they're on the roof, and he's like, we have to not quite fake your doom, but and like he gets him to drink the thing, and he's like, oh, I'm going numb, and he's just like, oh. He's like, I'll fix it later. And then he just like flops on the ground.
Ocean?
That was really funny.
So mine's not spectacular, but it was one of the most human responses the movie ever portrayed. And that was the connection, the first initial connection the main protagonist had with the monkey girl. in the tailor shop where she's tailoring something for him. I think that is one of my most standout on this, and the communication that who main vampire that's a good one. Can't remember his name.
I keep wanting to call him Crawley, and then I'm like, wait a minute, that's not it. Okay, I'm gonna Google it. Give me a sec.
I thought, yeah, I think it is like Crawley or something like that, or Crelly or Craley or something. Crepsley, that's what
Creepsley.
It is. Thank you, Myriad. It's Crepsley. Crepsley.
And then the main kid, his name is Darren.
Darren and Crepsley's interactions, I feel, are organic. They make sense, and it kind of it stands out because I like Crepsley's showmanship because he's a showman. I like that. That is a brilliant idea, and I love that character. I love Crepsley as a character. I just wish the points were a bit more pointed in the drama when it came time. Otherwise, it just looks like he's being a reluctant father figure. So, I mean, those are the points that stood out to me as one of my more admired points in the movie.
Okay. So, yes.
Sorry, I'm looking up the IMDb. This only made $13.8 million.
What was the budget?
Box office. In the box office.
Yeah, what was the budget?
I can't find the budget.
1 second.
But damn.
Yeah, that tanked. Give me a second. Let me go take a look.
I think it's because we kept hitting those exact moments. You know, we're like hitting the nail on the head.
The budget was $40 million.
Oh, it didn't even make back half.
Oh.
Okay, that hurt. There are so many ways they could have made this like a whole lot better. Honestly, like so many ways. I would like to see. I stand by. I would like to see a remake. If they do a remake of this, and they do it properly, I might actually go to pay to see it in theaters.
Oh, if it was given like half of the love and attention that Wicked did.
Yep.
Or Nosferatu did.
If it was given half the love and attention that Lost Boys did, or if it was given half the love and attention that, as much as I hate to draw this comparison, say what you want about the movie, but it was a labor of passion and love for those who made it. Near Dark.
Near Dark, yeah.
That you could tell they tried hard to put their heart and soul into that. And I mean, for us it flopped. That doesn't mean other people aren't going to like it. Apparently a lot of other people liked it. It just didn't work for us. But if it had half of that, I would be all over that in a heartbeat.
Oh, Near Dark was made by people who care.
Yes.
You can tell.
By fans.
That's the biggest difference. That is literally the biggest difference between a movie that does well and a movie that does not. You gotta have people who care. And yeah, of course, they're going to be like the fat cats who just care about the profit and the money in their pocket. But you need, at the base core level, you need to have people who care make art. Because otherwise, it's just gray.
You've got the fat cats who, of course, want the money. But if you want the money to flow, you're going to have that labor of love in there somewhere. Absolutely, right. 100%.
And the unfortunate part is I am a William Dafoe fan. And this movie, you could tell he was doing it out of pity. I'm sorry to put it, but it was out of pity.
Either that or for a paycheck.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. He's a thespian, you know. William Dafoe's a thespian. I've seen him in Boondock Saints. You've seen him in when he played was it Green Goblin? Yeah, I think it was Green Goblin.
One of my unhinged notes was actually, holy shit, Green Goblin's in this movie!
And I I wanted to like this movie. I did. I wanted to like this movie.
Marley.
It
Sorry,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Marley.
But I was just letting you know something. I don't need to say it for the entire internet.
Wait, hold on. Where did you Where did you message me? What?
Oh,
There,
okay. Side chat.
I don't have that open. If I open it right now, it's gonna screw up my cameras. I
All
will
right.
take a look here
if
shortly.
someone can just message it to Blaze, who does have access.
Okay.
Sorry.
I will put it. Let's see here.
Anyway, yeah, just throw it to me in a DM. Anyways, all right. Is it anything about kind of what we're talking about? Hold on, I'll see it here in a minute. Okay.
All right.
Accounted for. We're going to be wrapping up here, so I appreciate that. Thank you. What movie?
Oh,
We are talking about Cirque du Freak, The Vampire's Assistant, and we have all shredded this movie to bits.
Be-
We're moving on to the end now. Let's talk about ratings. So, on a scale of 1 to 5, what would you give this movie? Would you recommend it? And do you think it holds up for vampire lore? Let's start with Marley.
So, this movie is gonna get my lowest rating ever at a 2
Okay.
because there were just too many things that didn't add up or needed help, and there was a great potential. It didn't make it for me. And as far as vampire lore, I see what they were going for, but I feel like they made up their own rules. And some of them were like when you throw spaghetti at the wall, only a bit of it sticks. So it was not my favorite.
Krisha.
I was responding to Dragon's comment. Dragon, we're talking about Cirque du Freak, the vampire's assistant. I'm gonna give it a 2.
Fair?
It was not. It was. I'm not gonna recommend it. And just oof. It okay. It held up to vampire lore because everyone in this movie is a stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
So did it hold up to vampire lore? Yeah, because they're stereotypical vampires. Yeah.
Ocean.
I'm gonna give this a 1, and I'll explain why.
You don't need to explain
One.
why.
Oh, I think I do. One, watching this movie will ruin this series for you entirely. Um, there's too much. I would bypass this movie. Not because I don't like the actors. I love the actors. It's not because I don't like the story. The story's good. But because of the fact that it misses marks constantly
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't have the right oomph
Yep.
to it. And so, where if they had done a bit more, uh, a bit more time into it and taken their time with it and not cut everything, I think it would have been a better movie. Does it hold up to vampire lore? Psychology, no, absolutely not. It's fake. It's 2 dimensional, and there's no arc. For vampire powers, yeah, I guess if you want to say super strength, well, if that being the case, the Hulk is a vampire. Super speed, sure, if you want to say the Flash is a vampire, but the blood aspect, they don't show fangs. Well, I mean, they do, but they don't. They don't use fangs. They use nails, apparently. So it kind of gave off this weird, like, fangs are bad, nails are in. thing, so it kind of gave me. So yeah, it does follow tropes, and I think that's a detriment to the movie, just as Catherine Cosplays had said.
I'm trying to find what it was rated, but also like I totally agree with you with everything you just said.
You guys know me, you know how I rate movies, and you know I'm a bit of a harsh rater, but I'm also willing to cut some slack in certain areas. I'm sorry, but this movie gets no quarter from me. I don't know if I've ever given even a B movie this kind of rating. This movie for me gets a 0.5. This is vampire in name only, I think. They got some aspects of the lore right. It's, again, stereotypical. The writing was crap. The way they presented it was crap. What they made is a hot flaming mess. I'm sorry. It's a disaster of a movie, despite the potential that it holds. And I don't like saying that about vampire movies because, I mean, you guys know who I am. You guys, like, know where my heart lies.
Oh, yeah.
But this hurts. If I get it for the shelf, it'll be simply because it's a vampire-themed movie. But I'm probably not going to ever recommend it to somebody. It'll be maybe a guilty pleasure if I need a bit of a pick-me-up every once in a while.
Just real quick. One of the things that we sometimes go over on this is the production and the costuming. And this also fell flat on that.
Agreed.
They put it in a box, and unfortunately that box is a theater.
Yep.
And there was no wardrobe changes, really. It was very modern, so it had, I mean, even vampires that have that, it just didn't fit right.
Anyways, moving on. As much as that hurt. Guys, I want to thank you for coming to join us. At least for listening to this, our takeaway from The Vampire's Assistant, the Cirque du Freak series. Well, the Cirque du Freak movie, based off of the series that, you know, is the books. We appreciate you so much showing up. If you want to come and join us on Wednesdays for movies, you are more than welcome to. Get in touch with any one of the hosts. We all have our own invite codes. We can invite you into the server. We're doing basically per invite right now in order to help just kind of streamline things a little bit. Coming up on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, we are going to be watching... Krisha?
We're gonna be watching Hotel Transylvania, and it's my favorite movie.
We are going to be watching Hotel Transylvania. If you would like to come and join us, you're more than welcome to do that. We do community watch parties. You guys will have access to the server and all of that jazz. Get in touch with any of the hosts, but for this episode of Masquerade Breach, guys, I'm Blazewing.
I'm Catherine Cosplays, or Krisha.
I'm Marley.
And I'm Ocean.
And remember, don't tell the Camarilla. We don't say blah, blah, blah.